What do most Fortune 500 executives have in common? After more than 100 episodes recorded with those very executives from companies like Disney, Amazon, Netflix, Cigna, and Google, the answer is clear. They learned lessons in leadership from the fields and courts of their high school and collegiate sports teams. Some of our guests' athletic experience earned them a place in their sports hall of fame, like Chick-fil-A chairman Dan Cathy. Some hung up their cleats after high school, like Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian, while others, like Condoleezza Rice, claimed they were terrible in their sport. But no matter their skill level, they have all told me that being a part of a team taught them lessons they still use as leaders today. In partnership with Maxwell Leadership, I'm your host, Don Yeager, here to give you an all-access pass to genuine, authentic, fireside chat-like conversations with today's business icons so that you can create powerful, positive change in your own organization. This is Corporate Competitor Podcast. With me for today's episode is Scooter Braun, CEO of HYBE America and founder of SB Projects. Scooter has been named one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in the world and has a roster of the top pop culture icons under his management, record label, and publishing companies, including Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Ava Max, Ozuna, and Tori Kelly. I've gotten to know Scooter as a fellow member of the Make-A-Wish National Board because Scooter, his clients, and his company have together granted more than 540 wishes to children. What an incredible thing that is. I'm excited to talk about his career, his heart for his community, and the lessons he learned playing basketball. Remember to visit corporatecompetitorpodcast.com/156 to download the free bonus resource we put together for you with fill-in-the-blank notes and reflection questions for today's episode.
The only bad action is an action. I always thought, why not? Why not? What am I scared of? Why can't I get in the room with that CEO? Why can't I sign an artist? Why can't I build this company? There's never going to be a good time. There's never going to be a good reason. And there's never going to be some setup for you. You have to go out and get it. And you can. Why not you? Why not go and start? And there's no such thing as failure. There's just pit stops on the way to success. So just go.
Scooter, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, you've had an interesting life, unbelievable career. It's hard to imagine you've achieved as much as you have in as few years as you've done it. But long before your career got moving, you're a kid from Greenwich High School, the red and black of the Cardinals, president of your senior class. You also played some pretty good basketball. Tell me a story, a lesson learned through basketball that played a role in the way you even lead today.
Man, we can do a couple different sports. Baseball, there was a moment in football.
Right. I picked basketball because I knew that's where you went on to play.
Oh yeah, I played everything growing up. Basketball, full court press. There was a game where we played a team that was known for an amazing full court press, and they were just so fast. Game starts, and I got shook, and I probably had like 2-3 turnovers pretty quick. I called a timeout, got pulled in. Coach looked me in the eye, said, "Is anyone out here trying to kill you?" I said, "No." "Anyone out here going to hurt your family?" I said, "No." "Are you sick?" I said, "No." "Are you going to get hurt?" I said, "No." "And what are you so afraid of?" "Just a game." That I went out there and didn't play afraid the rest of the game. That was a moment I never forgot because I kind of went through life with the same thing of like, this is business. What am I so afraid of? Like, why should I be intimidated? No one's going to kill me. No one's going to hurt me. You know, I actually dealt with some of that down in Atlanta when I first started a business, but even that, like, I understood it. You know, the Justin Bieber saga was beginning. Nobody wanted to work with Justin. Got this deal at Def Jam, and I'm like banging down doors to get people to pay attention to me. And I go into LA's office. I'm very close to LA Reid now. And I start saying the things I need, and he just starts like going off and yelling at me. When he was done, I looked at him and I said, "Are you done now? Because that's not going to work." My dad yelled at me and he could put hands on me, and I know you're not doing that. So, and he was like, okay. And then we just had a great conversation.
Wow.
That basketball game put me that way through life at a very young age. I'm not afraid. There's nothing here to actually be afraid of. Like, people hunted and killed my family generations before me. No one's doing this out here. That coach instilled in me that might be a full court press and it might seem scary and I might commit a couple turnovers because I'm nervous, but get back out there. This is just a game.
Wow.
I had a couple moments. I remember I had a baseball game. I was second baseman. I was a good fielder. I had a strong arm, but I had a wild arm. Playing shortstop, too many times I would throw that ball over first base.
Could be all over the place.
So they put me at second base because they were like, all right, he'll be more consistent throwing like 5 feet. There was a game where the ball took a bad hop. That's happened to all of us. It hit me square in the chin, burst open. I fell down and blood was everywhere. And I just reached over, blood on the ball, and still threw the guy out. And I think my father was prouder of that moment than anything I'd ever done in my life, because it just showed me, like, fight through the adversity. There's a reward on the other side, and like there's a responsibility in adversity. You don't get to quit because of your own pain. And there's a joy in yourself when you're able to do that.
Oh, I like that.
But one of my favorite lessons sports ever gave me, this was probably 6th or 7th grade. I'm playing for the Coscob Crushers football team.
Coscob Crushers.
Yep. You know, Kiwi football. And I grew up on the East Coast.
Right.
And I want to give love to Bible Street Park in Coscob, the neighborhood I grew up in.
That's it.
You know, it would snow, it would sleet, it would rain. And we had a practice where it was like a little bit of snow on the ground, tons of rain, and we're just playing in the practice. Going like through the creek, doing, you know, all fours, crab walks, and, you know, all these different things. And we're beat up, we're exhausted, we're tired, we're wet. And this coach is just making us fight through the adversity. And I ran over and I said, Coach, like there's some bugs and like ants in the water from the water cooler. And he looked at me and he goes, I guess you don't want water. Huh? There's a bunch of ants in our water. I realized, drink this water with the ants in it or don't drink. I think almost in today's world, like, it could sound abusive.
Right. Yeah.
But let me tell you something. Sports is a really good lesson in life. Life is not going to be easy. Life is not going to give you clean water all the time. Sometimes there's going to be some ants that won't kill you in your water. Or there's going to be a moment where your chin busts open. Or there's going to be a moment where you're afraid in a full court press. Sports give you an opportunity, one, not only to rely on other people if you play in team sports and create camaraderie and all the different things that we usually talk about, but they are a metaphor for life of what are you going to do when you face a little bit of adversity? Are you going to fight through? And they show you what that gratifying feeling is at the end of it.
Yes.
I just went to my friend's birthday, threw a 40th birthday party in Aspen. I met up for a friend early at like 7:30 and went out like a beautiful like hour, 2-hour like hike through the woods, like gorgeous, not like strenuous, just beautiful, great conversation. And I come back and I meet up with my friend Ryan and his wife Molly, and they're like, oh, we're going on a hike around the mountain. And I was like, 150 people here for this birthday. Like, this is such a great opportunity to spend time with the birthday boy. I feel honored that they're inviting me. Of course, I'm gonna go with the birthday boy. He thought we'll go up the gondola, walk around, and his wife's like, no, we'll just walk up and walk around a little bit. It's going to be a joyful thing.
Okay.
The top of Ajax and Aspen Mountain is 11,000 feet. We start walking up like a straight vertical up this mountain, and we get about a quarter of the way and we realize like there's no way down. We walked the entire mountain, straight vertical up, 11,000 feet up. Took 2 hours. I was not in the shape to do this. I was not prepared, but it reminded me of what sports taught me. One foot after the other. There's just no retreat here. Like, just keep going. And when I reached the top of that mountain, although incredibly strenuous, the gratification I felt in my soul was something I had felt so many times in sports. And everyone always thinks it's in the game.
No.
You get that feeling in practice. You get that feeling when you've worked on something over and over and over again and you see the work pay off. That's something I carried throughout my entire life.
Well, you've made almost every one of your points. The things that stuck with you are fighting through adversity, which is what the day-to-day grind of no matter how successful you are, there are going to be pitfalls in almost every day that we're going to face. And your ability to not wallow in those moments is the difference between success and failure.
I agree with you. And I also think the one thing sports gave me, which I'm incredibly grateful for, especially at this point in my life, I have a text chain on my phone with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 guys. They all played AU basketball with me. To this day, we talk. To this day, we get together once a year for a weekend to watch March Madness and all get together. I'm 42 years old. I talk to these guys all the time. And these were my teammates when I was a teenager. We lived together every weekend, traveling to all these tournaments. And I got brothers out of this and a camaraderie that's so incredibly valuable. And I'm so grateful for it.
The world you live in today, it's got to have its own levels of adversity. Is there some way that you use these lessons in what you do today?
Yeah. Someone who I admire asked about his life, and he said, "This is my normal. I'm having a human experience just like everyone else."
Mm.
We as human beings downplay our own trauma because we think it's not worthy. We say, well, we know people going through something worse. I don't deserve to look at what I've been through. That's not true. Everyone is having their own human experience, their own trauma, their own adversity. They should treat it with the respect and compassion that it deserves and the attention that it deserves. My life has adversity just like everyone else and has a lot of joy like other people. I think it's, I have this tattoo of Amor Fati on my arm. It's Latin for love of one's fate. You have to love the good and the bad just the same. The bad moments have taught me just as much, if not more, than the good moments. When I look at adversity in my life, sports has really given to that idea that it's the first quarter. It's a 4-quarter game. I've been down 15 going into the fourth, and I've won a game. Every Knicks fan who saw Reggie Miller hit those threes, we know the game is not over until it's over.
Yeah.
I watch games till the end now. And I play till the end. Like, it is just not over. SportsCenter put out a highlight of the Tracy McGrady game where he had all those threes and those 4-point plays to win the game at the buzzer. There's a resilience. And I see Duke in the background there. You know, Jay Williams is one of my best friends. Everyone knows about that Maryland Miracle.
Yeah.
Play hard until the end. You don't know what could happen. And sports teaches us that. This isn't over yet. We all know. Everyone ever played basketball knows if you're down going into the fourth, just try to get it to 10.
Right.
Just try to get it to 10. If you can get it to 10,
then get it to 6.
And you're going to the fourth with some momentum and you got a game.
Oh, yeah.
People who don't know sports or haven't played don't really understand that. Like, wait a second, you're down 10 points going into the fourth quarter. Like, why would you have any kind of hope? Just get it close enough that you can strike.
Yeah.
That's life. You get knocked down, okay, that's the first quarter. We don't remember the games where we were up 20 points the whole time.
Right.
We remember the games where we were down, where we fought back, where we had that arc. If life gives you down 15, down 10, look at it as an opportunity for a really beautiful moment, a moment that people can remember.
I love it. Your father was a great influence in your life. You actually said in one interview that I read that the direction of your life changed when your father pulled you aside one day and said, "You're a liar."
Yeah.
I mean, what a heck of a thing for a dad to say.
You know, I was probably like 11, 12 years old. My dad had always told me that if you lie, if you do that, you're not going to be successful in life. And my dad caught me in a white lie, like 4th or 5th time, like this has happened, like kids do.
Yeah.
We were like literally outside by the basketball hoop. And he goes, "I want to talk to you." He just looked me dead in the face. He goes, "I want to let you know you're going to be incredibly successful. I don't think anything I say is going to change the fact that you are going to make it. You have all the tools. You're going to make it. Here's the truth. You're going to be able to lie and still be successful. You're that good at it. People aren't going to be able to tell. You're going to make it work for you. But I know you're a liar. And you're going to know you're a liar. So I don't want to lie to you anymore. You're going to be successful no matter what. But you're going to know it. I'm going to know that you're a liar." And he walks away.
Whoa.
I was devastated. Absolutely devastated.
Mm.
I just sat there, like my heart was broken. And I like shot some hoops and I walked back in and I said, "Dad, can I talk to you?" And he goes, "What do you want to talk about?" And I was like, "I just want you to know I'm not going to be a liar. I'm going to have integrity. I'm not going to lie." Good. And walked away again. I never forgot it. I understood, like, you have these tools, but like, what are you going to use them for? And I always wanted to do things with integrity. That's been one of the biggest adversities in my career. I think at times there's been, you know, I've always had a really good reputation, and then you get accused of, you know, something in this public world, whether true or not. All the evidence might say it's not true, but you got to deal with it. I think that's also a more fati. That's a gift. Part of what my father was telling me wasn't that he was going to know I was a liar. It was more important for me to learn that I was going to know. I had to know my truth, regardless of what someone else might say who doesn't know me. I have to know who I am. And I have to choose to live by that integrity within myself and trust that the people that I know and that I love will see that.
Powerful.
I think the universe gives you what you need. If I'm living a life before of like wanting a legacy that's projected out of like, if I do this, everyone will love me. If I live this life that, and then one day the universe goes, okay, you know what? You're doing great at that whole thing, but we're going to just smack you across the face. All the work that you've done today, people don't remember the next day because one thing is said. What are you going to do with that? You could sit around and sulk and be angry and this, it's not true. Or you could say, what is this putting inside of me? I care too deeply, but I still want to be someone with integrity. Maybe I should do it for me and see how that feels. Maybe I should live with integrity and kindness and show up for the people that love me.
Hmm. You know, I wanted to get into your work alongside the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Your SB Projects Group and your clients have granted more than 540 wishes and counting, and now you're on the national board of Make-A-Wish. What was it that led you to want to be so deeply involved in the wish granting process and what it is that you're hoping to achieve both for yourself and your clients?
I always just loved to make a wish. I knew about it coming into the business. And then the very first wish we ever granted with one of our clients, I just saw that moment. I saw what it did for the families. I saw what it did for the kids. Saw what it did for the siblings. I've always found hope to be an incredibly powerful thing.
Mm.
Someone I admire said, never do the realistic thing. It's the unrealistic things that become great.
Mm.
The catalyst, that secret ingredient that you need to creating that unrealistic moment, is just that hope and that faith that it's possible. What Make-A-Wish does is it gives kids hope. Getting to be near that was just such a powerful drug to me. It was so fulfilling. Those kids gave me a sense of hope and a sense of appreciation for life and for the present moment. Once that first one was done, I was like, we should keep going. And Justin Bieber did an incredible job becoming the #1 Make-A-Wish giver of any musician ever. Ariana's granted so many, and Demi's granted so many, and Dan and Shay, and just so many of our acts always stepped up and granted wishes. And when I got to make a wish at the gala,
that was an incredible moment. I remember sitting there with my kids in the audience when you surprised that young woman. That was just, you literally offered a wish to someone that had no idea it was coming right there on the stage.
Well, I showed up and there was a wish that had taken years because of COVID that wasn't granted to a young woman who had been in the fight. Her dream was to get involved in the music business and record and get the meetings. And, they thought I'd do a simple wish of like take one meeting. And that just didn't sit well with me. So one, I surprised her with her wish being granted that we're going to have this meeting. But I also set up multiple other meetings for her, set up recording session with a major producer. And then I put the Disney team on the spot and said, well, also you got to make sure she and her family are taking care of Disneyland when they come out to LA. So we actually did something really special, and she's very special, and so is her family. That was a beautiful experience. And after that, I got asked to join the national board. I was deeply, deeply honored and got to connect with you and the other board members. And it's one of the proudest things in my life, and something that I've shared with my children and want them to know the significance of doing work like that. And I've shown them videos. We have a family member qualified for a wish outside of me. I was very passionate hearing that the organization was doing that. I'm grateful to the New York chapter. My kids, they know that that's happening, and I explain the whole process to them and what's going on. And we talk a lot about giving back, paying it forward. And we talk a lot about if our glass is filled, we want to make sure it doesn't spill. We have to pour the water into other glasses to make sure that our glass doesn't overflow and makes a mess. Fill the other glasses so that your glass doesn't tip over. I'm going to make sure as I continue to do this work with you and the other board members, I'm going to make sure as my kids get older, they get involved.
Our glass is filled, pour it into others. Don't let it spill and make a mess. That's pretty powerful. Is there one Is there a wish that through the 500 plus that you all have granted, that when you think of it, it brings tears to your eyes? It just,
Man, you're making me go there this morning. It's funny. There have been so many wishes. It's not the wish. There was a moment. There was a moment where we were making a wish for a young lady. Ah,
give it to me.
I was watching her siblings, her sister and her brother, and I found it to be so incredibly powerful how selfless these young kids were. It had become very obvious that the treatment for cancer, the chemo, and everything that this young girl was going through had consumed this family, had made it so that everything was about the treatment of this girl, and these other siblings probably had to take a back seat. Here we are in this wish, and they're meeting like this celebrity that she wanted to meet, and there was no resentment. There was no, when is it going to be my turn? There was no, I want to meet him too. There was just pure joy and excitement for their sister.
Hmm.
It was incredibly powerful. Not the wish being granted, but the love and admiration and selflessness of these two young kids for their sibling. I never forgot that.
Well, I could see it in the welling of your
It's
eyes.
too early in the morning for this, man.
It's so incredible because one of the things about the wish process, when I explain it to people too, yes, it's incredible for the child. Yeah, it's incredible for the giver, but it's a full family experience. And that's really, really incredible
It is.
without question. You know, your career blew up when you discovered talents like Usher and, of course, Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
My daughter would hate it if I didn't mention Ariana.
Yeah.
You saw something in some of these folks. Was that about being bold? Was it being lucky, being in the right place at the right time? You weren't the first person to hear them. What was it that allowed these things to happen in concert between you and them that maybe they hadn't experienced previously and you hadn't either?
I've got to work with so many incredible people over the years. They've changed my life.
Yeah.
Something's always led me has been my gut. I feel like some higher power has always stepped in and kind of given me a sign when something's for me. And my gut would go off, and I've always just trusted it as a kid. Me and my brother shared a room. My dad used to walk in before we put to bed. He'd turn off lights, say, "Hey, boys, I love you. Bronze are different.
Mm.
You're special. I hold you to a higher standard." But he'd always say, "Bronze are different." And he never made us feel like we were better than anyone else, but he made us feel like anything is possible. And I think I went through life not knowing that a 4'11" freshman in high school should play basketball. I went through life not knowing that a kid shouldn't show up in Atlanta and think he can be this giant party promoter within a year, or the VP of a record label at age 20. I don't know if you want to call it arrogance or you want to call it just false confidence, but I always thought, why not? Him and my mom raised us with this idea of equality. We saw it within the house. My parents were completely equals. There was so much respect between them. And when I met these artists, my gut went off. Why not? The same thing as the full court press that I started this conversation with. Why not? What am I scared of? Why can't I get in the room with that CEO? Why can't I get us on the radio? Why can't I get us this TV look? Why can't I sign an artist? Why can't I build this company? No one's trying to kill me. I can beat this press.
So give those listening some advice on how do you follow your gut?
Well, first, you're going to find out if your gut works. If you follow your gut a couple times and nothing's happening, you got to start questioning, like, maybe my gut. But look, I think the average entrepreneur, they say, comes up with a great idea at 47. So people have plenty of time. You watch that movie about McDonald's. His gut had done wrong for a long time, but then he finally found something and he followed it. McDonald's. The only bad inaction is inaction. It's that why not? Why not you? There's never going to be a good time. There's never going to be a good reason. And there's never going to be some setup for you. I was just talking with a young man. He's a distant cousin. I was in town to visit my parents and my kids, and they came over. And I was talking to him, and he's like, well, I'm not like you. Like, I don't know how to do it. What did you think I did? What makes you think it's just going to show up? Like someone's going to knock on your door and say, the perfect opportunity has finally shown itself. It doesn't work that way. So if you're watching this and you've had a dream and you haven't gone after it for 100 different reasons, there is no perfect setup for you.
Right.
You have to go out and get it. And you can. Why not you? Why not go and start? And there's no such thing as failure. There's just pit stops on the way to success. So just go.
What's the toughest pit stop you've ever been through?
I'm in it. My divorce.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm in it. I have nothing but love for the mother of my children. I'm glad it's her. We are really great parents and we have 3 beautiful children. We just couldn't get there. It was so incredibly depressing and I thought I'd failed.
Hmm.
I thought I failed. I just couldn't fix it. And it led me into the work I would have never done otherwise. It was the greatest gift ever. I want deep love. I want to share my life with someone. You know, the relationship I have with my children. I'm the coach for my kids' basketball teams and assistant coach on the soccer teams.
That's awesome.
I coached 2 teams. Next year, my daughter's stepping in, and now I'm going to be coaching 3 teams. I have never had as much joy as coaching my kids. I am getting to know myself in a deeper way and be the father to my children I've always wanted to be. And I am on that pit stop, but I know that that success is out there.
I love it. I love it. So I want to ask you a question we've asked almost everybody we've had over the last 3 years of this podcast is the word team is often overused, especially in the corporate world. Most corporate organizations aren't really teams. They're just a group of individuals who have the same business card. But you've been on teams, you've built teams. Now you're building a little basketball team. If you're trying to coach someone on how to build a team out of a group of individual contributors, what are some of the lessons or things that you'd want to encourage that group to experience together to actually bond?
Trust. My eyes are welling again, thanks to you. I'm looking right over to the right and I have my 2 plaques of my 2 basketball teams that I coached this past year.
Mm.
I'm thinking of a very specific moment in practice where I went home and I got emotional because I saw coaching kids making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I had a player on one of my teams who was one of my top 3 players. Really, really good kid. But I wouldn't say bullying, but definitely like couldn't understand some of the kids on our team
Mm-hmm.
who didn't have the same talent and were just socially a little bit different than he was. 7, 8-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And I was the cool coach. So he wanted to sit next to me and one of the kids was sitting next to me and he kind of like bullied him out of the seat. And I went, hey, no, we're not doing that. And I pulled him aside in practice and we had a long talk and I showed him a clip, which I think a lot of sports fans know, where there's a college basketball player and the big man puts his head down and the player comes over and lifts his head up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it went viral because it just showed like, I got you, like keep your head held high.
Mm.
And then I showed the whole team and I talked to them all about lifting each other up. If you're a great player, you stand with the other teammates and you protect your teammates and you build trust with your teammates. In that same practice later on, that same kid got knocked down pretty hard in kind of a loose ball. And before I could run over to see if this young kid was okay, that player who had bullied him just a week before ran over and picked him up and said, are you okay? 1 sec. Wow. I don't know why I got emotional about that.
That was impact.
Yeah, but he did it every single time that point on. He was the protector of the team after that. He was the best teammate. And he was still a scorer and he still wanted to shoot his threes and do his thing. But every time one of my little guys got knocked down, he was the first one to run over and pick him up. If someone got in someone's face, he got in their face. It clicked. We were the best team in the league by the end of the season. And it was this camaraderie they had, this trust they had in each other. It made me feel incredible because that kid who got knocked, the kid who got knocked down was my other son.
Mm.
It was my son trying to sit next to me that day. This kid couldn't understand how it was my son. And he bullied him out of the seat. And I said, it's not going to fly. I didn't say it's because my son. I said, no, we're teammates. And we had that conversation. And later on that day, and that following week in practice, Jagger got knocked down pretty hard. And this teammate ran over and grabbed him. And they were really good friends by the end of the season and at each other's birthday parties. And it was just this camaraderie. My son's confidence went up, his confidence went up, and it meant a lot to me.
Scooter Braun, keep coaching, keep doing things for Make-A-Wish kids, keep encouraging others. Thank you.
I did not expect this to go this way. I'm having an emotional morning.
And you know what? That is good. Those are the ways we want the questions to go. We want you to dig a little deeper, and thank you so much for doing it with us today.
All right. Take care, buddy.
I have to tell you, as an interviewer, there is nothing better than when the person that you get a chance to work with says at the end that this didn't go quite like I expected it. The fact that Scooter said that really meant a lot to me because I appreciated the depth he gave to the answers for the questions we asked. But the lessons he learned and the discussion about how adversity shaped who he would become. The story of full court press. There he was, just a young player learning basketball, and coach calls a timeout and says, "Hey, what are you scared of? Do not play afraid." And that became a model for what he would ultimately achieve. And boy, has he achieved a lot. The second thing he talked about was that sometimes you lose the first quarter. Doesn't matter. We're playing a 4-quarter game. It's our responsibility to constantly remember that we just need to be close in the fourth quarter. Let's make sure we continue to pull things together so that we can be successful in that way. And then finally, the theme that has defined who Scooter Braun is and the success that he has shown in that amazing industry. There is no perfect setup. No one that has an idea that goes perfectly or that has created a model that has gone without flaw. And if that's true, then why not you? Why not you? Why can't I be the exception? Why can't I be the success? And as Scooter Braun believed that in himself, others learned to believe in him as well. What an amazing story. I can't wait to read Scooter Braun's book one day. Why not me? If you could share one habit, one thing you've done consistently that allowed you to separate yourself from your competitors, what would it be? In my 30-year career, 2,500 of the greatest athletes, coaches, and leaders answered that question for me.
This is Don Yeager, who did that that article I was telling you about.
Don, Dave Sims with Coach K. How you doing?
Hey, Don. How you doing, my man? Great, sir. How
What they gave to me is what I'm giving to you in my online course, Journey to Greatness. Through engaging storytelling and on-demand videos, you will learn the 16 habits that will jumpstart your personal growth. I will instruct you on how to apply these winning characteristics to your life through custom workbook exercises. We are slashing the price for our podcast listeners. Lifetime access to Journey to Greatness is normally $399, but for our podcast listeners, it will be $49 with the code podcast at checkout. Click the banner on corporatecompetitorpodcast.com to enroll.